Another question, what constitutes, we hear the term independent media, independent journalism. What constitutes independence there? We have papers that have become privately owned that seem biased by the owner, but others tout privately owned papers or media to be independent of something or other. So, can you comment on that? Is independent media a good thing? And what's it mean to be independent?
That's a great
I
question.
can, yeah.
N equals one, just me. We're independent and we're not owned by a national corporation publicly held by stockholders. And it's impossible to be unbiased about anything, right? But I'm the owner of this paper. My personal views and political desires do not affect in any way, shape, or form the coverage we provide. So this newspaper is independent of my views. Yeah, and then we try to follow the basic tenets of old school journalism, which is get sources, try to get both sides when possible. Hopefully they return the calls or their emails, and try to report facts as it is possible, as much as it is possible. So that'd be me. I don't know about, I think you guys could talk more about industry-wide what independent means.
Yeah, I mean, so I used to work for a membership organization of independent news organizations, and our definition of independent, like people would apply for membership, and then we'd like look and be like, are they really independent? Are they really all the things they say they are? And so I can't remember, I don't have the exact definition in the front of my head, but it's basically like you're not owned by a conglomerate or a corporation, or, if you're, have an affiliation with a university or something like that. It's basically like, can you, the organization, make choices that are independent of any broader thing? And so obviously, like Jerry's publication completely fits that bill. He's not beholden to any other entity to make organizational decisions. And so when you are beholden to another entity, you may make decisions that maybe aren't quite in the best interests of the community. I'll give you a random example. So I used to live in Eugene, Oregon, and the newspaper there was family owned forever, and then it was bought. It was bought by a corporation, and one of the things they were doing is saying, "Okay, we've got these big stories. We're going to run them everywhere." And there was a story about midwives and like the dangers of birth by midwife. And that's like, I'm sure that was a very well reported story, but that did not go over well in Eugene, Oregon, where we are like all about the midwives, right? So it's not that it wasn't like a valid story. It's just you'd want to kind of like take a different approach to that for the community for that community. And so everybody was like up in arms about that story. And it didn't tell the story that like took into account all of the little pieces of the community itself. So that's a piece of content that I'm telling that story through. But yeah, basically, like, can you make decisions on your own?
And how do you explain it? Clearly, we have the Washington Post as one example, and the LA paper, I think, is privately. So Jerry's made a decision to step back and be old-fashioned. But clearly, papers owned by a single individual can and do take on their own journalistic biases. Are they independent because they're owned by one rich person?
I mean, technically, right? But I think that it's making decisions free of some entity, right? And if you're making decisions based on a political entity, and trying to kind of like be in the good graces of a political entity, then okay, you're independent in name, but are you independent in your sort of approach? And that's where it just gets so messy. Because Jerry's right. No one can be totally unbiased. Like we all have our worldview, our lens, our objectives. But I think the important thing here is like trying to always keep that big picture in mind, and trying to sort of make decisions that are like for your community, for your readers, for your people. And if you are not able or willing to do that, then your independence is called into question.
One of the things that you might consider is when you're looking at a publication, try to find out, number one, follow the money. And then number two, ask yourself, because you're the reader, is this paper abiding by the Society for Professional Journalist Ethics, ethical standards? And that is something anybody can read. It's very available and will help you as a reader decide, gosh, is this an outlet that seems to be guided by the money or by the owners or by a particular point of view? This one resource, again, Society for Professional Journalists, it is in our study. If you want to read that, you can go there. It's just about anywhere. You can Google it. Maybe that can help provide some guidance there. Because again, you've got to remember that so many of the traditional media has been purchased by hedge funds. Follow the money. Their purpose is to make money. And if that's their purpose, then you really need to understand what their motivation is. And then some hedge funds, I'm going to guess there might be one or two out there that might have newspapers that actually do provide legitimate journalism, again, guided by the Society for Professional Journalism Ethics.
I would like to jump in here.